John Williamson was a physical guard that knocked down jump shots like no tomorrow, with it being so good of a jump shot that he got the nickname Super John, fighting his way into the ABA after being cut from the NBA, becoming a key player alongside Julius Erving, winning 2 ABA championships with the Nets, then going on to the NBA and becoming a consistent 20-point-per-game scorer, becoming a franchise great with the Nets, before being out of the league at a young age with Williamson dealing with weight issues. This is a look back on John Williamson's career. John Williamson was born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut, where he would attend Wilbur Cross High School in the area. And while there, Williamson and the school thrived, winning 2 state championships. And by John Williamson's senior year, he was averaging 38.7 points per game, leading the nation in scoring, picking up the name Super John by a local sports writer for his play that stuck the rest of his career. Williamson was a first-team Parade All-American with options to go to multiple colleges, but decided to attend New Mexico State, joining his former high school teammates in Alex Scott and Clint Davis. At New Mexico State, Williamson dominated the competition, averaging 27.2 points and 6.3 rebounds over 2 seasons of play. After the personal success, John Williamson had decided to turn pro, foregoing his senior year. In the 1973 NBA draft, John Williamson was selected by the Atlanta Hawks in the 6th round with the 96th overall pick. Being a late pick, Williamson was not guaranteed a deal, so he had to compete for a spot on the roster, and he ended up actually failing to make the team with the Atlanta Hawks. Williamson's career was not to an ideal start, but the New York Nets and the ABA asked him to attend their training camp to try to make the team, where John Williamson impressed, earning a roster spot. Williamson was on one of the best teams in the ABA, competing for a title, with Julius Erving, Larry Keenan, Billy Paltz, and Brian Taylor. John Williamson, despite being a rookie and barely making a talented Nets team, carved out a role as a starting shooting guard by the end of the season, with Williamson his rookie year averaging 14.5 points, 3.2 assists, and 2.8 rebounds, making the all-rookie first team for his contributions. As the Nets were the best team in the East, going 55-29, getting a 1 seed. In round 1, the Nets handled business against George Carter and the Virginia Squires 4-1, making the Eastern Division Finals. The Nets faced the Kentucky Colonels, who had Dan Issel, Louis Dampier, and Artis Gilmore. With the talent that the Colonels had, the series was anticipated in being close, but it was anything but, as Julius Erving took over the series, helping the Nets sweep the Colonels out of the playoffs. In the finals, the Nets met the Utah Stars, led by Willie Wise and Jimmy Jones. Wise and Jones played well this entire series, but Julius Erving was on a different playing field, continuing his dominant form over the playoffs as the Nets went on to win the ABA title in 5 games. In John Williamson's rookie season, he was the starting shooting guard on a championship-winning team, averaging 11.9 points, 2.9 assists, and 3.3 rebounds along the way to a ring. Next year, John Williamson played a similar starting role on the competitive Nets team, averaging 11.5 points, 2.6 assists, and 2 rebounds. Meanwhile, the Nets had another strong regular season, going 58-26, getting a 2 seed, as they had lost the tiebreaker for the 1 seed with the Colonels. In round 1, the Nets met the Spirits of St. Louis, headed by Marvin Barnes, Maurice Lucas, and Freddie Lewis. Marvin Barnes this series tore apart the Nets in every facet, stunning them in 5 games, on top of Freddie Lewis sending them home with a game winner in Game 5 to finish the series off. Going down as one of the biggest upsets in ABA history, as St. Louis only went 32-52 on the year and knocked out the defending champs rather convincingly. Over the series, John Williamson averaged 12 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. In the offseason, the Nets shook things up, trading away Larry Keenan and Billy Paltz to the Spurs in separate deals, with the key returns being Sven Nader and Rich Jones. The moves created a bigger role within the offense and team for John Williamson, seeing his numbers increase to 16.2 points, 2.5 assists, and 2.5 rebounds, helping guide the Nets to a 55-29 record, getting the 2 seed. And a matchup against the San Antonio Spurs, who had a talented team with James Silas, Larry Keenan, Billy Paltz, and George Gervin. Gervin and Erving put on a show this series, going head-to-head with multiple close games, pushing it to go to Game 7. And the Nets pulled through in Game 7 as Williamson was having a breakout postseason performances, being the right-hand man to Julius Erving at the right time, propelling them into the ABA Finals. Awaiting the Nets in the finals were the Denver Nuggets with David Thompson, Ralph Simpson, Bobby Jones, and Dan Issel. Julius Erving somehow even elevated his play further in the finals, causing the Nets to jump out to a 3-1 lead, with Erving even hitting a buzzer beater to win a game. The Nuggets had pulled one back in Game 5. In Game 6, the Nuggets went up 22 points on the Nets, with the series looking like it was going to go to a Game 7. But the Nets rallied behind Williamson and Erving as John Williamson scored 16 fourth-quarter points, helping the Nets win the game and the final ABA championship. John Williamson had broken out as a star player and key contributor to this postseason, where he averaged 22.2 points, 2.6 assists, and 2.4 rebounds. After the year, the ABA merged with the NBA. With the move, the Nets lost its superstar in Julius Erving, who had gotten a new lucrative contract to join the 76ers. John Williamson was also looking for a new contract entering the season. Williams started the year on the Nets as the leading scorer, only causing his value to rise, but the Nets and John Williamson could not seem to reach an agreement, so the Nets decided to trade him. John Williamson was traded to the Indiana Pacers for Darnell Hillman and a first-round pick that became Bernard King. Williamson was brought in to be the second option on the offense to Billy Knight, where John Williamson thrived initially, continuing his strong form he had in New York, averaging 20.8 points, 2.8 assists, and 2.7 assists in his first season in the NBA, helping the Pacers improve but still go 36-46, missing the playoffs. The Indiana Pacers in the offseason struggled to survive as an organization even another year, but did last second because of a telethon raising enough money to continue on. Next year, Williamson entered with a similar role to the year prior with the Pacers, but he and Slick Leonard had started to butt heads on his role within the team in the offense, where the Pacers decided to make him available for the right price. And funny enough, the team that came calling were the Nets. The Pacers traded John Williamson to the Nets for Bob Carrington and a second-round pick that became Louis Orr. The Nets had relocated since Williamson was on the team to New Jersey now. The Nets wanted John Williamson back since he was under a contract, and they needed someone to alleviate ball pressure off Bernard King. And the move seemed to be a stroke of genius, as Williamson was averaging 19.1 points per game in Indiana prior to the trade. But in New Jersey, he went on to average 29.5 points, 2.5 assists, and 3.2 rebounds, with the highlight performance being a revenge game against the Indiana Pacers where he scored 50 points. John Williamson was thriving in New Jersey, yet the Nets were not doing so great, ending the year at 24-58. Next year, Williamson would cool off some as he got fewer shot attempts as the team played more well-rounded basketball, but he still remained the leading scorer on the team, averaging 22.2 points to go with 3.4 assists and 2.6 rebounds. And under Williamson and King, the Nets had been revitalized from the other year, helping the Nets make it into the playoffs as a 6th seed, getting a round 1 matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers with Williamson's former teammate in Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones, and Daryl Dawkins. In Game 1, John Williamson played incredibly well, scoring 38 points, which was a then playoff record for a debut. Despite his great performances, the Nets lost the game and then went on to lose Game 2, getting swept, as the 76ers were deeper with more talent behind Julius Erving's play. John Williamson over the series had truly done his best for the Nets, averaging 29.5 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. In the offseason, the Nets shook things up some, thinking the current core wasn't going to be able to get it done and make a deep run in the playoffs, seeing them trade away Bernard King, with the Nets drafting Calvin Natt to fill King's role. On top of this, the Nets traded for Mike Newlin, who played a similar position to John Williamson, and shortly into the season, the Nets decided to trade Williamson away because of the move for Newlin and other picks playing his position. On top of John Williamson was seeming to be putting on weight and wanting a new contract. John Williamson was traded to the Washington Bullets with the future second-round pick that became Steve Lingenfelter for Roger Fagley. Williamson was now on an aging Bullets team led by Elvin Hayes, Bob Dandridge, and Wes Unseld. John Williamson took on a smaller role as his form was diminishing, seeing himself average 14.6 points, 2.2 assists, and 1.7 rebounds on the season, as Washington went 39-43, squeaking into the playoffs to face the Philadelphia 76ers, where the Bullets did not last very long, getting swept as Julius Erving sent John Williamson home early again. John Williamson over the series had averaged 13.5 points and 1 rebound. Next season, John Williamson entered camp with the Bullets, still dealing with weight issues, and John Williamson will only play in 9 games to start the season, averaging 4.7 points and 1.9 assists, before the Washington Bullets decided to waive him, as his play was clearly affected by his weight gain. John Williamson could not come to an agreement with the new contract afterwards, with teams fearing his shape. Williamson tried to play in the CBA to get interest of the NBA again, but it did not work, thus ending his basketball career. Over 8 years in the ABA and the NBA, John Williamson had averaged 17.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. John Williamson, several years later, got his jersey retired by the Nets for being a key part of their ABA championship teams, defying the odds after being cut from the Atlanta Hawks and becoming a starter as a rookie with the Nets, on top of helping guide the team in its new beginnings in time in New Jersey, being a 20-point-per-night scorer, relying on his jump shot and physicality for buckets before weight issues pushed him out of the league. Despite Williamson's short time as a professional basketball player and never picking up an all-star appearance, John Williamson thrived in basketball, fully deserving the nickname Super John. Thanks for watching this video on John Williamson's career. If you want to see any videos in the future about any random players, leave them in the comments below and I may or may not decide to do them. Who knows? Thanks again for watching. This has been Skid Denver.